These are red glass bracelets. I've had some requests for red bracelets with the upcoming Chinese New Year because red is typically a color that one would wear as a sign of good luck. So I'm working on them, some orders. It's really simple to make jewelry if you have the right tools. Biggest part is, you see it here, stretch cord. I'm working with Stretch Magic stretch cord. And yes, this is bigger than what we sell at the shop, but that's because I make so many bracelets. This is a 0.7 millimeter stretch cord. If you're only going to run a cord through your beads once, probably 0.8 or 1 millimeter stretch cord is better. This is for regular size beads primarily. Anything that's 0.6, actually 6 millimeter or 8 millimeter. Like these ones are supposed to be 8 millimeter, but they are requiring a lot more than I typically would find for, sorry, that's the cat who thinks she's got to be in the middle of everything and doesn't understand why. Come on up. Um, there, I'll show you her because she's got to be here in the middle of everything. Can you see her? Here, let's take a look at the kitty cat. Okay, don't know if you could see her there. All right, there we go. Now we can get settled. Sorry about the interruption. That's what happens when you have a cat. Anyway, you need to stretch the stretch card. You see what I'm doing here? You stretch it ahead of time. You pre-stretch it before you do anything else. It kind of helps the cord stretch, reset itself a little bit, and it makes it a little bit better for when you're working on beading something like a bracelet. Um, what I'm doing here right now is just putting these through. And you can see I'm just doing one at a time. And if you happen to have noticed the the square that I have here, the square ruler, these are starting here and it's, well, they moved around a little bit because I pulled some off. It was saying 8, but we're losing an inch over here. And so really, even though it was saying 8 when I had all the beads down, this is about 7 inches. One of the things to keep in mind is I really do like working on bead boards a lot. You'll see that I'm not on a bead board right now. I've got a washcloth down instead. And actually that's holding the beads somewhat in place so they don't go rolling off on me, as long as the cat doesn't get into it. It's obviously it's a clean washcloth and dry. But as I'm doing this, what happens is I am going to string these once, but then I'm also going to run the cord through them again. Now this is the 8 millimeter that I made previously, and this is a 6 millimeter bead that I made, bracelet that I made previously. I could run the cord through twice on the 8 millimeter. The hole on the 6 millimeter beads does not accommodate the cord going through twice. So I only tied it off after running it through once. Whenever I have an opportunity to run a cord through it more than once, I will do that because it makes a lot more sense to make it a little bit more secure, a little bit tighter. One of the things you should consider when you're, to get back to bead boards versus washcloths, if you do make your bracelets, whoops, I just lost one here. Let me get it back here. I'm disturbing the cat. If you do decide to use a bead board, it's really important to use an actual ruler to measure what your length is, because I have found that although the bead boards are great for doing designs, they're not great for final measurements. It can be off a little bit. So I always like to work with a real ruler, even if I do something in the bead board. The other thing is, just because you put something in the groove in a bead board doesn't mean that that's going to be the exact length of what you have for the amount of beads you have. It's once you get it on here, once you get it on the cord, it's a lot easier to measure than if you just have them laying out and they're not exactly together. So here what I've done is I'm measuring it, and I've actually got about 9.5 inches here, which is not what I want. I want it to be closer to 7, which is a 7.25. Let's see here. It's a little bit over 7 inches, which is what I want. Now, if I were going to make it larger for somebody, that might be one thing, but I don't want to do that right now. I'm actually doing a standard 7. These two bracelets that you'll see here are actually running 6.5 inches because the person I was making the bracelets for has a smaller wrist and requested a smaller size. Of course, when I do bracelets generally for somebody, depending upon the materials I have, I will do more than one bracelet. So even though she requested an 8 millimeter bracelet, I'm also doing the 6 millimeter in case she has an interest in that instead or in addition. Um, and quite frankly, even if she's only wants to have the original 8 millimeter, 6.5 inch one, I know I will have other people interested in the smaller bracelets because we have a lot of people who come in who have smaller wrists. And we also have a lot of people that come in and need a bracelet that is bigger than 7.25. Usually, if you get commercial bracelets, and we do carry some of those at the shop as well as the ones we make, they are approximately for somebody who's got a 7.25 inch wrist. Fairly standard size, actually. You see how I'm going around here and I'm just running this through here again. I'm not even really looking at what I'm doing because this is very simple. Sometimes with different sizes beads and designs, you have to pay a lot more attention than what I'm doing here. But I already did the test run, so to speak, on the previous bracelets, so I know how they're going to handle. Now, when you're working with gemstone beads, you will find that sometimes the 8 millimeters you can run the cord through twice, and sometimes you can't run the cord through it twice. Um, Although I could work with a 0.5 cord, stretch cord, I really prefer to reserve that just for chip beads. I like the strength of these slightly thicker cords where it's 0.7. Um, but yeah, I've even had larger beads that sometimes have only been able to accommodate one pass through. It depends on how well the gemstones have been drilled with their holes, and you may notice I'm pulling this through a little bit. Yeah, I'm getting close to the end here. This, from my previous experience with this same size bead and actually these very beads, I know that this will be pretty easy to adjust. Sometimes it's not as easy to adjust the size of the bracelet here. So you can tell here I've got 2 already through there, so I'm here. I've got to bring this up closer. So I'm going to be pulling on this and pulling this through. You can see I'm stretching and it's close. Yay, we're here. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do what's kind of considered to be a simple square knot. Tied it off there. But as I was looking up stuff, there's something I hadn't heard this term before because I'm not in the medical field, but supposedly you do this once, the square knot, and then you do it at least twice or 3 times. That is considered to be a surgeon's knot, and I think the reason for that is it's supposed to make it a little harder for it to unravel. So I did 2 there, and because of how I am, since I only did the first one with the one basic square knot, I'm going to do that so-called surgeon's knot. And again, I didn't look up the term, but that's what I saw somebody referring to it as. You see, it's multiple turns around here. And I'm going to do that. I always glue my bracelets after they're done. I do not trust that they're not going to undo at some point. Now, just to give us an idea of the difference in the size here, you can probably see it. This one's shorter than this one. That's really kind of what a half an inch can make a difference. I'm just going to put this other one here too so you can kind of see them. So, yeah. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed that. I'll be doing some other videos, but they're very simple to do bracelets when you have the right materials and you take the right approach. Have a good one.